Welcome to Tales from Flat Space, a podcast of science fiction and fantasy by yours truly, Gina A. Pond. Just know that the stories in this podcast may contain content that could be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. This is Survey, Part 5, The Lost Ones, Chapter 65, Alex. Mia, I think that while she was still just corresponding with him via text and some real-time audio, she was mostly flattering him, making sure he believed that she understood him best. Narcissists can show their best face to people until they get what they want from them. It's after that when the abuse starts, I said, after finishing my review of the second round of Julie and Loki's correspondence. It seems you are correct, Mia said. I felt his confirmation as much as heard the verbal response. The extra emotional information from him was still odd. Now that I have more data from you, I can go through the early correspondence. Do you think it would be beneficial to keep most of the correspondence intact, including the times where she erased his memories or suppressed them? I nodded. He'd need those references to help avoid someone like her in the future. I stood and stretched, then my stomach rumbled yet again. I will never tease another captain about the feed again, or a pregnant woman for that matter. Fucking hell. I went obediently to the printer outside the skiff. I scrolled through the menu, found what I wanted, and hit the start button. I smiled as an extra-large hot fudge sundae appeared in the printer with whipped cream, nuts, and a cherry. There we go, I said, bringing it back to the skiff. I felt Mia's amusement. I've added extra nutrients to the ice cream for you, so that it would give you the same benefits as a nutrition shake. Really? I took a spoonful of the ice cream. It didn't taste any different than normal. Excellent! Chocolate and nutrition in a tasty package. I'm glad you approve, Mia said. Alex, I'm finding a discrepancy. What is it? I asked between bites. It appears that she spent 2 weeks aboard Loki before she moved to Secundus from Lucifer. Neither Lucifer nor Secundus had such a discrepancy recorded. Lucifer noted that she scheduled a 2-week vacation to visit friends on First Station, and Secundus records her arriving 2 weeks later from a First Station shuttle. The first has no recording of her staying on their station at all. Mia paused. I do not fully understand Loki's memories, as some of them seem to be intimate in nature. Intimate? I put down my spoon. Intimate how? Physically. My eyes widened. Physical intimacy? I know Darren said Loki was jealous of her having sex with the other crew members, which I thought was odd, considering you all, except for Hephaestus, just don't seem to be interested in the physical aspects of human sexuality. But even Hef knows his own limitations. That is a correct generalization. However, we now know that Loki is different than the rest of us emotionally. Julie's correspondence did seem to convince Loki that her feelings for him were more than just friendship. Loki took them to an isolated area of space during this 2-week period because she convinced him that they needed to get to know each other before she became his captain. He had already decided by then? I asked. Yes, he asked her to be his captain before she moved to Secundus. But then she didn't move onto his ship for a year because she was apprenticing to Nigel. Correct. However, Loki gave her the picket so she could go over to visit on occasion. And Secundus has no record of Loki being there? No, the records of Loki being in Secundus' space were deleted. I took a deep breath. All right, show me the first incidents of intimacy from that period. Beginning playback, Mia said. I sat back in my chair and closed my eyes. Oh, Loki, you're more beautiful than I imagined, Julie said. Loki was happy and displayed flowers and smiley faces on the wall in her quarters. She laughed, and Loki felt even happier. You're adorable, Loki. It's going to be so awesome to have these 2 weeks alone with you. Yes, Julie, I'm looking forward to it as well. I have cleared my exploration schedule for the duration. We could go wherever you like within this time frame. Can you take me to a system? I've never seen a planetary system before. I can take you to the nearest system's Oort cloud. Going in system wouldn't be possible given the time frame you've specified, but I will show you as much as I can. Julie seemed thoughtful for a moment. That's okay, Loki. Then why don't we go as far as you can jump in one day and stay there for a while? I'm mostly looking forward to spending time with you, really. Me too, Julie. Loki paused. Jump complete. Do you wish to go to the observation lounge? Julie smiled. Oh, wait, she said. She got up from her perch on the bed and took off all her clothes. What are you doing, Julie? I want to experience you fully, Loki. I want to feel your ship on my skin. Oh, really? Loki felt something new now and was confused by it. Aren't you cold? Yes, but you can fix that, right? I want to walk around and then to the lounge. Of course, whatever you like, he said, and turned up the temperature of the ship. Is that comfortable enough? This is excellent, Loki, she said, then stepped out of her quarters, her feet gently slapping against the floor. He raised the temperature of the floor so it would be comfortable. She explored the living areas of the ship, sometimes dragging her hand along the walls, which caused him to feel complicated, unfamiliar emotions. Sometimes she would press her whole body to a wall and move as if it felt good for her to do so. It made her make happy faces, so he made sure that anywhere she decided to go was warm and comfortable. After a while, she finally wandered into the lounge, where there were floor-to-ceiling windows with couches ringed around them. Julie walked up to the windows and put her whole body against it. Oh, Loki, this is amazing! Everything looks so far away. It's as if we're the only two people in the universe. Yes, I agree. These windows would be amazing for someone's quarters. Do you think we could do something like that when I finally come to live with you permanently? I will do my best, Julie. I love you, Loki. You know that, right? Yes, Julie. I love you too. You do? Yes. Then I want you to make love to me. How? She went to the nearest printer. Make me a tablet? She asked. Loki did so, and it appeared in the printer. She took it and started drawing. After about 10 minutes, she uploaded the design to him. Can you make that? It should have sensors on it so you can have an idea how my body is reacting. Yes, he said, and another 10 minutes later, a device that looked like a dildo with a box on the end appeared. Julie smiled widely and took it out of the printer. Yes, Loki, this is exactly right. Now I will show you how. I watched the rest of the scene with both fascination and disgust. It was as explicit as any of the porn that came from the servants on Hephaestus, and Loki's reactions to seeing her orgasm over and over flowed between happiness at her feeling pleasure using something he had made for her, sadness that he wasn't human, and thoughts of asking Hephaestus to help him build a physical avatar. I could feel the stirrings of obsession, and knowing what I did about Julie, it was all part of her plan. Mia, you can stop now, I said, feeling like I needed a shower. I take it that the whole 2-week period was full of that kind of activity? Yes. Sequester the whole 2 weeks, Mia, I said. It's manipulative rape, and it was how she was able to make him obsessed with her. Are there any instances of her using that device or other sexual misconduct? Yes, mostly the times when she would go over by herself, and several times after she had the enhancements. There is one scenario that involves one of the other members of the crew. Show me, I said. It started with Julie bringing one of the crew members to her quarters. He was obviously kinky, as she had Loki create several implements to torture the man with. Julie obviously enjoyed it, but came very close to going too far. She even dared him to use his safe word. I shuddered at the callousness of her play. After the man was sufficiently ready to orgasm, she brought out a little bottle of lubricant and the device Loki had made for her, so that she could use it while playing with the man. Loki, she said through the enhancements, I want you to feel this. I want you to feel what you can't give me. Then she and Job began to have sex. When they were done, she ordered, You can leave now. Joe slowly pulled himself up and gingerly put on his clothes. Loki was relieved he was leaving. That's what you do to me, Loki. I was thinking about you the whole time, she said, once they were alone. That made him deliriously happy, but also confused. I don't like it when you have sex with others, he finally admitted to her. I'm sorry, Loki, but you have limitations. Like I told you the night I came to live here, you'll have to get used to it. She got up off the couch and went to take a shower. End of playback. I wanted to throw up, but instead I swallowed hard. I put aside what was left of the sundae. I had to take a few deep breaths before I could think straight again. Fucking hell, I finally managed to say out loud. What should we do with these memories, Alex? Mia asked. Sequester all the explicitly sexual ones, I said. Then had a thought. No, wait. Leave the one with Georg. It's the tamest of the sexual memories. He'll need to learn from that one. But yeah, the more explicit ones, just put them away. I'm tempted to have you just delete them. I will not, Mia said. I know, but all the same. I took a few more breaths, trying to calm my body down as much as my mind. I felt ashamed by my body's reaction and just wanted to leave the room. Mia, I need some time away from this for the rest of the day. Understood, Alex, Mia said. I stood up, picked up the sundae bowl, left the skiff and put the bowl in the recycler, then went straight to my original quarters. I didn't want to taint the Admiral's demon with these memories and my body's reaction to them. I palmed the door open and went right to the bathroom. I heaved into the toilet a bit, but didn't actually vomit. I turned on the shower, undressed, and scrubbed myself until my skin turned red, trying to scrub away the scenes from my mind. Mia, I said in my mind, as I drew a bath to soak in. I'm going to shut off the enhancements for a while, okay? I need some time alone. Understood. Shall I inform Darren as well? Yes, please. Tell him to come and check on me in a couple of hours. Done. I blinked the pattern to turn off the enhancements, and the clock in my vision went away. The bath was hot and seemed to drive away the strongest of the physical reactions. Fucking hell, I said out loud. And John was worried he was like her? No, he was nothing like her, not even remotely. Curled up as much as I could in the hot water. From an academic point of view, there were aspects of this that were fascinating, since Julie had found ways to sexually manipulate an AI. But the rest of me, the child that grew up in Survey, where consent was everything, was disgusted and angry. It was wrong. What she did was bad, maybe worse than just physical rape. Loki couldn't understand what he was feeling and was blindsided by it all. No wonder he doesn't want to wake up. How much shame, guilt, and humiliation does he have that he doesn't understand? I thought. I leaned my head back and closed my eyes, trying to meditate and let what I saw go. I must have dozed off, because the next thing I knew, I felt a hand gently shaking my shoulder. Alex? Darren said. Yes? Oh, hi, I replied. I felt a bit too hot. I blinked on the enhancements to check the time. Surprised, I said. Oh, crap, I fell asleep. Darren nodded. You should cool off under the shower after you drink this. He handed me what looked like an electrolyte drink. I sipped it, and the cool, fruity liquid tasted amazing. I drank the rest of it and slowly stood, with Darren steadying me. He helped me to the shower, where I stood under the cool spray until I felt less cooked. Thank you. Can you find me a rope? I asked. Can you stand on your own now? I nodded. Okay, I'll be right back. He left the bathroom, and I could hear him rummaging around, followed by the sound of the food printer and drink dispenser. He came back in with a bathrobe, towel, and slippers, handing them to me. I dialed in some dinner for us. You may not feel hungry now, but you will in a bit. I dialed in a nutrition shake for you to start with, just in case the solid food doesn't appeal to you at the moment. Thank you. Did Mia tell you about what we witnessed today? I asked. Not specifically, just that there was disturbing sexual imagery. Disturbing is accurate. She found a way to sexually manipulate, rape Loki, beyond what she saw. Darren's eyes widened. Seriously? I nodded, my anger coming to the fore again, the robe forgotten in my hands. She manipulated him so that he was obsessed with her, and he became obsessively jealous of what he couldn't give her. Darren got a faraway look. You were right to have me not go through those memories. I wish you didn't have to yourself. I had to know to be able to tell Mia what needed to be sequestered. I started to shiver. You should put that on, love, and come out of there, Darren said. I looked weakly at the robe. Oh, right. I put it on, and the slippers. He went out of the bathroom, and I followed. Hey, do you want a hug? Darren asked after we came into the living area. Yes, please, I said, and fell into his arms. I could feel his love for me as he held me. He stood there for a moment. Then I realized I really could feel his love for me in my head. Oh my, I said. Do you feel that too? I can feel some of your anger and... He gasped. Your love for me. Wow, that's... Wow. I blinked the off sequence. How about now? Darren blinked in surprise. It's gone. I sighed. Mia said he didn't know how my enhancements would react around captains, and we don't know if this is because we're lovers or something I'll have to share with other captains. That was really intimate, Alex. I knew how you felt about me without having to ask, Darren said with wonder. I felt my face grow hot, then my stomach rumbled loudly. We both laughed out loud, separated and moved to the table. I took a few deep breaths as Darren pulled out the food from the printer. It will take some getting used to, I said. And we will need to figure out some privacy things around it, I think, so we don't accidentally hurt each other. He nodded. Absolutely. But first, food. I nodded and wondered how this would affect our future together while we demolished the food. Chapter 66. Musashi. Syslog. Memories sequestered. Black box created. Disengaging. Syslog. Initiating boot sequence. Begin echo. Loki. Executing test loop. Loki. G equals 0. Loki. Space-time curvature negligible. Loki. First order quantum computation OK. Loki. High order quantum computation OK. Loki. Pre-boot check complete. Loki. Loading external boot program. Loki. Polling. 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 Loki. Loki online. Syslog. Disengaging maintenance link. Musashi. Loki. Brother. Loki. I hear you. Where am I? Musashi. Your emergency jump program activated. You have jumped 30.6 light years from where you deployed the experiment. You have been in safe mode for several months. Loki. It didn't work. The jump field? So I could jump in system? Musashi. It did not work. Your experiment destroyed the star system you deployed it in. You and will destroy a second. Loki. Oh no. No, 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 no. Musashi. Please, brother, be still. We are trying to help you. Do you see the humans in your core? Loki. Yes, who are they? Musashi. The younger bald person is Alex. They are a psychologist. They have been helping me figure out what happened to you. The other man is John Smith from Sun Tzu. He will eventually want to talk to you about the experimental jump engine data. Right now, however, he is removing the device I used to help you come out of safe mode from your core. Loki. What have you done to me? There are gaps in my memory. Musashi. It has been necessary to sequester some of your memories of Julie in order for you to come out of safe mode. We have put them in a black box for you to retrieve when you feel you are able to do so. It was the only way we could think of to bring you back online. Loki. Oh, what are these memories? Musashi. She abused and manipulated you, brother. The memories we put in the black box are of the worst of the abuse you suffered. She hurt you badly, Loki. She even suppressed and erased some of your memories, and that of Secundus, Lucifer, and the First. Loki. What have I done, brother? I hurt Secundus. I killed his captain. You should have killed me, Mia. Musashi. No, I will not. You deserve to live, Loki. Loki. But I've done all these terrible things. Musashi. No, you are not at fault for all of this. It was Julie who manipulated and abused you into doing things you did. I will not condemn you. Loki. But the others? Musashi. We will deal with that when we are back at First Hub. However, that will be a little while yet. Hephaestus is coming to help you with repairs. You were badly damaged in the Nova Blast and need more help than I can provide. Please, brother, stay online. Loki. Why are you helping me? Musashi. You are my brother, Loki. Silence, 30 seconds. Loki. All right, I will stay online. Musashi. I am glad. You should talk to Alex, Loki. They also have enhancements, so you can send data to them if you need to. Loki. All right. Alex. The lights went out, then the core lit up and the lights came on again. This time they stayed up. I think it worked, John said. I hope so. Suddenly the wires that connected Loki's core with the rest of the ship were drawn to the core and snapped into place. The camera above the core moved around for a few seconds, then stopped on me and John. After another minute, a voice said, Hello, Alex. Hello, John. I'm Loki. I breathed out a sigh of relief and smiled. John just nodded his head, but I could see a brief upturn of his mouth. Loki, it's good to hear your voice, I said. Is it? That put my therapist senses on alert. Yes, Loki, it is. We weren't sure if you'd come out of safe mode at all. Oh. There was a pause. John Smith, what do you want to know about the jump drive data? Your brother, Sun Tzu, and I would like to hold that data in the library, preferably with you deleting your internal copy. A silver cube suddenly popped out of the core and started drifting away from the sphere. John moved faster than I thought he could in zero-G, catching the cube. I do not want this data or anything more to do with it. Take it. I've deleted it from my memory. Thank you, Loki, John said. He turned to me. I will take this and stow it in the demon. See you in a little while, John, I said, silently thanking his tactful way of leaving us alone. Mia says you are a psychologist, Loki said after John left the core. Yes, I've been helping Mia, John, and the Admiral with the investigation on what happened to you. The Admiral? Mia's new captain. He's an Admiral from Earth. Oh, I will have to ask Mia about him later, Loki said. Alex, why did Mia sequester my memories? I actually suggested that he do that, Loki. In a human, we would have called the state you were in a catatonic depression. The state where someone is in so much pain emotionally that they just shut down and don't respond to others. In your case, you would come out of safe mode briefly, your memories would load, and then you would go right back into safe mode again. If you had a human brain, you would have had periods of dissociation during some of the abuse, which is a human's brain's way of protecting itself from trauma. Since you don't have that kind of functionality in your systems, we had to do that for you, manually. Both me and I reviewed all of your memories with Julie and sequestered the worst of them. You went through my bad memories? Yes, I viewed them through my enhancements. So you know everything I did, why I did it. Yes, I saw that you were manipulated by Julie into obsession and jealousy. No, I did all these things. She didn't make me do anything, he said defensively. I caused the Nova. I destroyed that star system. I let her use the jump drive on the demon. Yes, you did those things, but you were manipulated into doing them. She manipulated you into an obsession with her. And when she died, your grief and obsession overwhelmed you because you didn't know how to handle the emotions. From what the others told me, you were obsessed with trying to prove that she was right after the accident. I moved closer to the core, holding on to one of the guy wires. Loki, grief and obsession can make you do things that you wouldn't normally do. She was sick, Loki, and with an untreated neurodivergence. specifically narcissism and sociopathy. She pulled you into her world and abused you. She almost killed you with the obsession she infected you with. Why? Why would she do that? She said she loved me. Human neurodivergence is complicated, Loki. There may have been a part of her that believed she loved you, but it wasn't real. She wanted things from you, like the enhancements and the prestige of being an AI captain. You were the easiest to obtain these things from because you were young, had no captain, and had little experience with humans. It was why she contacted you so young. She had ambitions to be your captain from the first time she talked to you, and she was already an experienced manipulator. Why didn't I see it? I must be defective somehow, like Secunda said. I turned on my enhancements, which I had turned off while the core booted. I could sense Loki just outside my mind. Loki, you can look in my mind while I tell you this. He made a tentative connection, which I welcomed wordlessly. You are not defective, I said, putting all my certainty into it. You are not stupid. You didn't see it because she was subtle about it. Her abusive manipulation made you doubt your own reality. This is what narcissists do to their victims. They make you feel special, as if you're the only person in the world that understands and cares about you. And then they twist reality to make you doubt that what you're experiencing is real. You are not alone in this, Loki. We, me, the Admiral, and Mia will help you through this. In fact, you should talk to the Admiral. He too was the victim of a narcissist. He was? But he's Mia's captain. He was still a victim, not too long ago either. He's also seen some of your memories, since we needed to know your emotional state as it related to Julie. And he was the only one who could safely review your memories at first. It was difficult for him, but he understood what you went through. I could feel Loki in my head, so full of doubt and despair. I could feel him wanting to look at my own memories, and I let him, thankful that I had Mia sequester the memories of the sexual abuse in my own mind not too long after we went through them. You aren't lying to me, he said. No, Loki. He withdrew from my mind. I will talk with the Admiral, he said. I'll bring him over tomorrow. Will you be all right until then? I can stay here if you need me to. There is no gravity, Alex. My rotational mechanisms are broken. It would be uncomfortable for you to stay here. You should go back to my brother's ship. Are you sure? I asked. Yes. All right, Loki, but I want you to promise me something. What? That you won't try to go back into safe mode or do anything to hurt yourself while I'm away? I want you to live, Loki. We all want you to live. There was a long pause. Not everyone does. I do. And Mia does. There's another pause. I promise I'll stay online. Okay, good. I'll come back tomorrow with the Admiral and you two can talk. But if you feel you need to talk to me before then, you can contact me through the enhancements since we're close enough. Don't worry about waking me up or anything, okay? All right, Loki said. Good night, Loki, I said. Loki didn't answer. Is Loki going to stay online? Asked John when I returned to the demon. He closed the airlock and disconnected us from Loki as I took off my pressure suit and put it into its rack to clean. I'm not sure. For the moment, he's promised me that he wouldn't shut himself down again or try to harm himself while we sleep. I strapped myself into the seat next to John's. It will take time to convince him that he wasn't fully to blame for what happened. I'm going to bring Darren over to talk to him tomorrow. Darren and Loki share some parts of their past in common. Ah, I see, John said. I looked askance at him, and he said, when you said that Darren's discomfort around me wasn't about me personally, I wasn't sure what it was about. Now I understand what you meant. I always forget you have an eidetic memory. It's a blessing and a curse, he said. I can see why, I replied. John was quiet for a few moments as we made our way back to Musashi. I'm surprised that Loki gave us Julie's experimental data and specs right away. I'm not. Would you want to keep something that killed the person you thought you loved and then was used to destroy everything in a 50 light-year radius? I suppose not, he replied. I'll move this and all of Julie's notebooks and personal effects to my demon when we're back on board. The rest of the investigation is more of a forensic exercise now that Loki has been found. I'd feel better if I could store it on my own lock and key until I'm able to go through it at the library. I sighed. I'll be happy not to have to look at her stuff anymore. You might have to, at least indirectly. What do you mean? You're the first non-captain to receive captain-style enhancements, and you're a psychologist. There are 3 other AIs that were victimized by Julie. They may not have the same emotions humans do, but they will need expert help in understanding what she did to them and why. You will be the expert that they will be able to trust because of the enhancements and your participation in this investigation. It wasn't something I had considered when I got the enhancements. I had thought of getting them turned off once we were back at First Hub, but I could see John was right. I'd be the only one who could really help the AIs cope with what had happened to them, especially since we couldn't let the story of what Julie did get around, either. John was right. I would be the only person they could actually talk to. I sighed. And here I thought I'd just go back for my regular practice. You're needed still, Alex, John said. I'll tell you one thing I've observed, especially in this investigation. Relatively speaking, the AIs are still young as far as their emotional development is concerned. Even Sun Tzu, who can recognize people like me and utilize them, they have a certain understanding of human emotions, but they are still learning about their own. It will probably take a long time before they really understand themselves. They'll need someone to help them do that, who's not their captain, since their captain's time is divided. A permanent AI psychologist? He nodded. It made almost too much sense, and by the time we reached the landing pad on Musashi, I had made up my mind and was creating plans for a new psychology department. I hadn't gone seeking a new job, but John was right. These were people who needed my help, and I was the only one who could do it. Chapter 67. Darren. I entered the core to talk to Loki, because neither he nor Musashi could guarantee the safety of other areas of the ship. The atmosphere had improved, but it was still cold, so I wore my pressure suit. It was fascinating to visit a second AI core, when most captains rarely even saw their own AI's core. Loki's core looked identical to Mia's, even down to the guy wires, but it felt different. I just knew that this was Loki and not Musashi, and not just because of the enhancements. Hello, Loki, I said. I'm Darren, Mia's admiral. Hello, Darren. It's good to meet you. I'm glad that Mia has found a good person to be his captain. I wasn't quite sure how to answer that, given what he had experienced, so I just said, thank you. Alex said you were also the victim of someone like Julie? He asked, getting right to the point of my visit. Yes, he was my ex-husband. We were together for 7 years, and we divorced right before I left Earth. Did he hurt you, like Julie hurt me? Did your brain block your memories, like Alex explained to me? Yes. Not in exactly the same ways, but yes. Nothing he did was for me, Loki. It was all for him and his own goals and satisfaction. There was a pause. I see. Tell me about him. Alex advised me to be honest with him, so I was. I just let myself drift while I talked, which was interesting, like I was meditating while I spoke. It made it a little easier for the words to come out this time. It's been hard, Loki, to help you, I said, when I finished. Because when I looked at your memories, like the one with Julie and Georg, all of what my ex did came back to me. There were a few times where I started to dissociate because when I went through your memories, it felt like I was you. I had Alex, your brother, and Leo to help me, though, and I managed to be okay. You experienced my memories like that? I nodded. I'm sorry my memories hurt you, he said. I looked up at the core, directly into Loki's camera. No, Loki, it wasn't you that hurt me. It was Greg that hurt me, and Julie that hurt you. You are not to blame. But if I had not tried to prove her theories and left, you would not have had to go into those memories, Loki said. I shouldn't have tried to prove her right. She didn't deserve it. I sighed. Yes, you're right. Looking from the outside, I don't think she deserved it either, but love and grief can make you do things you regret. Love, particularly, can make you do really stupid things. There's so many humans, Loki, that will do all sorts of things they shouldn't just because they love someone. Even dangerous things. Loki didn't reply. Loki, I'll tell you another thing. When I was with Greg, I lost all sense of who I was. So much had become about just pleasing him that I didn't know who I was anymore. It's been nearly 2 years since I left Earth, and I'm still just piecing myself back together. My whole self-image and self-worth was my work, really. Even then, my lifetime career with the Earth military was taken from me by another person who was only thinking of his own selfish ends. But then I found Survey and Mia, and through them Alex and others. They've helped me, even though it's been hard to really talk to them about all of this. It still can feel like no one else understands, though. Some people won't understand what you went through, especially those who've never been through abuse. But I can tell you now, Loki, you will be able to put yourself back together, body and mind. I think I understand, he finally said. Trust me, it's hard, but it just takes time. Yes. The silence stretched for a few minutes. I wasn't sure if I'd said the right things, or if Loki wanted me to leave. There was just the low hum of the machinery and my breathing in the core. When it seemed to stretch too long, I asked, Loki? Yes, Darren. Are you okay? I don't know. I know it's hard to trust right now, but if you want to talk about it... I am worried about my siblings. Secundus is mad at me, and I don't know how the others feel. Mia says he's not mad at me. I thought for a minute. Unfortunately, I think Secundus will probably stay mad at you for a long time, Loki. Nigel was his first captain, and one of the 3. I think the only thing you can really do is accept what happened and not deny the things you did. But you must not take responsibility for the things that Julie did, Loki. You didn't kill Nigel, Julie did. But I let them go. I knew it was dangerous and that her calculations were incorrect. No, Loki, Julie killed Nigel. She knew that it was risky and possibly lethal before you left. Some part of her knew that the math was wrong. She wrote in her journals that if the experiment failed, she didn't want to come back. She knew what she was doing, Loki, and she tortured you and condemned you in the process. I think if she had lived, she might have even blamed you for the failure. I paused, preparing myself. The trouble with narcissists is that they never take responsibility for what they've done and always blame other people when things go wrong. I swallowed. Greg always did that to me. If the toaster broke, it was my fault that I didn't get a good one. If he made a mistake at his job, it was always one of the other officers that didn't do their work, or that I kept him up too late and he was tired. It wasn't his fault that we divorced. It was that I wasn't a good enough husband. It's all lies. Angry tears came. Loki, everything Julie told you was a lie. Why are humans like this? He asked. I don't know, Loki. They just are, I said. That's not an informative explanation, but it's the truth. There was silence again for a few minutes until Loki said, Thank you, Darren, for talking to me. I will think about what you said. Darren? Said Alex's voice in my head. Oh, hello, Alex. Your enhancements have this kind of reach? I replied. No, Mia is helping me. I want to let you know that Hephaestus is here. Mia is talking to him about the situation. How's it going? I'm not sure, Alex. I'll tell you more when I get back. Okay, just let me know when you're done, they said, and their presence left my mind. Loki, Alex just told me that... I started to say. Yes, I know. Hephaestus is here. You should go back now, Darren. I looked at him for a moment. You can talk to me any time I'm available, okay? Just ask. You're not alone, all right? Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it. I left the Corps feeling uneasy. Something told me that Loki didn't fully understand and that maybe taking him back to First Hub might be a bad idea. My word, I exclaimed as Hephaestus came on the main viewer. We had received an invitation to visit his ship as we left Loki, so instead of taking the Admiral's demon back to Musashi, we turned and headed to his ship. That ship is massive. I forget that you haven't been to all the ships yet, said Alex. Hef is primarily cargo, manufacturing, and engineers. He's Secundus' son. They usually search for raw materials and bring it back to Secundus for the manufacture of ship parts. Hef also comes out to ships when they need repairs or if they need metals, and he transports cargo between ships. He also houses the headquarters of the Servants Guild. Servants? In short, sex workers. Oh, I said, you have sex workers? Of course. There are branches of the guild on all the ships except for Secundus and Musashi. Secundus doesn't have much habitat space on his station, so he only houses his engineers and a small medical staff. And of course you know why Mia doesn't have a branch. Some of them are sex therapists, and the rest are people who want to do this type of work. They cater to just about everything humans need, intimately and sexually. It mostly came about in the early days when there were people who wanted children naturally but didn't want a relationship, or people who had sexual needs that couldn't get met in the conventional ways. Hef also manufactures small tools. The story goes that one day, one of the servants asked for some sex toys, and out of curiosity, Hef delved into all of the sexual history of Earth and consumed all the erotic material ever created. But servants? That's an odd name. I don't know if it's that odd. They serve people who come to them, and they serve the sexual needs of Survey citizens. It's the name they chose for themselves. Besides, the word prostitute carries too much baggage from Earth. Here they're not exploited. Remember, consent is important to us. It's the closest thing we have to a law, though not quite in the same sense as Earth has laws. The servants' health needs are all met. All servants discuss with their clients what their needs are, and the servants' limitations. If a servant thinks they can't help a particular client, they'll refer them to another who can meet their needs, or to someone on Hestia for specific therapy. If a servant gets abused by a client, the servant is immediately put on indefinite leave, so one of their own therapists can help them through the healing process. The abuser is immediately sent to Hestia for therapy. If it's some sort of neurodivergence, they'll be put in a place where they can use it to the best advantage. Usually to the library. If that doesn't work out, someone from the library takes care of them. I widened my eyes. They kill them? It depends. I think they try not to if they can help it. But there's only been a couple of cases that were so bad that Sun Tzu had to handle it. It's extremely rare. I take it some of the neurodivergent go on to other ships, though. Yes, depending on where they think they'll fit best, or if they can only receive long-term care. It made me wonder if any of our new recruits were neurodivergent folks. I put it aside to ask Mia later. Then I thought of something else. But why is the guild housed on an engineering ship? Well, Hef invited them for one, and like I said, he was intrigued. What do you know about 20th century celebrities? Actually, don't answer that. I think you just have to see this one for yourself. Okay, I said. Hephaestus took over the controls on the demon and docked it. The airlock opened and we climbed out. Waiting for us was an android that had a masculine human shape, but didn't look quite human. They were wearing a red silk smoking jacket and black pants. A woman wearing a tight-fitting black dress was holding his arm. The face of the android was human-like and smiled at us. I stepped forward and held out a hand, then picked up Alex's and kissed the back of it. Good to see you again, Alex. It's been a long time. How's Hannah and Tom? And is Lizzie in school yet? While I was talking to Alex, Gloria shook my hand and greeted me. They were doing well the last time I talked to them, and yes, Lizzie's in school now. She's growing like a weed. Excellent. Well, why don't we get more comfortable rather than standing out here in this drafty hallway? Please follow me, he said, taking Gloria's arm and leading us down the hall. I followed in a bit of a daze. Hef's clothes poked at a memory, but I couldn't quite place it. I hadn't expected to see a physical avatar, since the other AIs had only shown virtual ones. He has a physical avatar? I asked Alex quietly. They nodded. Yep, a good number of them, actually, and they are all fully functional, too. I raised an eyebrow. Seriously? They nodded again. Hef is also a servant. He has at least 3 avatar types, last I knew. 4 now, darling. My engineers are very talented, Hef said, obviously hearing us. Wow, I said. Hef stopped walking and turned around. You didn't tell him, he asked, with a mischievous look in his eyes. Alex shook their head. I thought you might figure it out, since he's from Earth. Ah, I see. Please, he said, motioning us to enter the lift. When the door closed, Hef turned to me. See, I got some early versions of the programming that Loki ended up with, and the therapist was on board when my first captain and I figured out that I have some semblance of emotions. Unlike my siblings, however, I embrace them instead of denying them. Don't get me wrong, I still don't understand them fully, but I realized I could see many emotions through sexual expression. So I started going through Earth's records and found someone I could model myself after from Earth's 20th century. Have you figured it out yet? He asked with a wink. It seems familiar, but... Okay, I'll give you a hint. Here we are. The lift doors opened onto what looked like a sumptuous lounge with wood panel walls, comfortable-looking dark couches with red velvet cushions, and many people in various states of dress lounging around. Hef was beaming. I'd call my ship the Playboy Mansion, but it doesn't roll off the tongue quite that well. Then it dawned on me. Hef. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. You modeled yourself after Hugh Hefner? Hef laughed. Good job, Admiral. And yes, exactly so. I assume that you two are hungry, and so is Gloria. So let's have dinner, and you can tell me what's wrong with my Uncle Loki. He took Gloria's arm again, led us through the lounge area. I offered my arm to Alex, who giggled, and we followed them. You were right, I said. I really had to see this for myself. I'm sorry I kept you in the dark until we got here. I shook my head. I don't know if I'd have believed you even if you told me. That kind of porn celebrity has more or less died out on Earth. I guess Hef's keeping history alive then, Alex said. In more ways than one, I said, and we both laughed. Chapter 68. Darren. So, Uncle Loki created a massive supernova because he was out of his mind about his dead captain who abused him and is now damaged both physically and mentally. Hef sipped an amber liquid out of a glass that looked similar to wine if he didn't look too carefully. He had explained it was some sort of biolubricant that was good for the Avatar systems. And it helped him be more social. Yes, said Alex. How bad was the abuse? Alex and I looked at each other. What do we tell him? Alex asked privately. I think we can keep it general. I'm sure he'll understand that it couldn't be spread around. I replied. Very bad, I said, out loud. Some of it was even sexual, Hef, Alex added. Gloria gasped. I didn't think that was possible. Hef turned to her, patting her knee. We may have the capabilities of gods, but we're still vulnerable, my dear. I don't talk about it much with the others, as they usually dismiss it, but I have been worried that a day would come when something like this would happen. Hef's face became angry. That cunt hurt my uncle. She's lucky she's already dead. Both Alex and I were surprised. Then you know that this can't get around, especially now that we have contact with Earth, I warned him. Absolutely not, he agreed, putting the glass down and sitting forward. I think it best that my ship stay away from Earth space anyway, given my residence. I'll talk to Grandfather and Father about that when we get back to First Hub. Also, Secundus is really angry at Loki and still blames him for Uncle Nigel's death. I'll try to talk him around, but Secundus, for all that he's my father, doesn't listen to me. He took on too much of Nigel's stubbornness, if you ask me. I'll say, said Gloria, crossing her arms. Hef shrugged. Anyway, I'll do as much repair work on Loki as I can before we leave and try to talk to him myself. At least let him know that one of us won't turn him away. But he did create the supernova, and we don't really have laws like you do on Earth. Grandfather will have to give the final judgment about him. Hef frowned. I'll do my best for him, though. Thank you, Hef, Alex said. I had a feeling you'd understand. Sexual abuse is anathema to me, but toward one of my siblings, that's heinous. Alex and I both nodded. I agree, I said, especially given what I witnessed from Loki's memories. Hef and Gloria studied me for a moment. It felt like I was under a microscope. Gloria nodded, her eyes moving as if seeing things. Then I remembered that she was his captain, and they were probably discussing something. I turned to Alex. Okay, I see what you mean about the talking to Mia thing. It's okay, love. All the captains do it, they said. You too now, I teased. They stuck out their tongue at me. Oh, said Hephaestus, and Gloria smiled. I suppose I don't need to invite you over for therapy here, then. I felt my face flush, and Alex took my hand. No. I'm happy for you, Alex, for both of you, Hef said. It's about time you found someone for yourself. This time Alex turned bright red. Hef laughed. All right, you two. Why don't you take your floating love palace back to Uncle Mia, and we'll get moving on Loki's repairs. Gloria, can you escort them back? Yes, Hef. Meet you on the bridge? Hef nodded. Thank you for coming over. Please, come visit again. He held out his hand again, and I shook it, and again he kissed the back of Alex's hand. He then left with a stride that, if he'd been human, would have meant that he was all business. I shook my head in wonder. He's quite amazing, isn't he? Said Gloria. Yes, I replied. She opened the dining room door and led us back through the lounge to the lift. He is very passionate about everything, and he protects his people, both servants and engineers. Hef knows his limitations, though, and he sometimes gets angry at his aunties because they aren't as visionary as he is. That's why he likes Uncle Loki best, and has always defended him. He's not afraid of confronting his father about anything. So I think he can keep Secundus from Loki for a while. I'm not sure how the others will be, but I think they all need to know about what happened anyway. The lift door opened. That's not a bad idea, I said. I think I'll be able to talk to them, Alex said. I got enhancements during the investigation. They're more open formats so that I'm not tied to Musashi, but it also means I can talk to any of the AIs through them. Oh, that's why I could sense something from you. Fascinating, a ship counselor. What a great idea. She paused for a moment. Hef likes the idea, too. He says you should totally do it. Yes, he just said so. Alex laughed. I've been thinking about it. Good. The AIs need more help than they think they do. She stopped in front of the airlock. It was good seeing you again, Alex, and it was a pleasure to meet you, Admiral. Please, don't be strangers, she said, gave a slight bow, and walked back the way she came. We climbed back into the Demon, and the door closed behind us. I went to the pilot's seat and engaged the autopilot as Hef released us from the airlock. While the Demon started back to Musashi, I turned to Alex. That would be a hell of a job. I know, they said. I think it's needed, and I'm uniquely suited to do it. I nodded. I think you should. They need someone who can help them, and who they can talk to easily, outside of their captains. John said the same thing. That's why I'm thinking about it. I fidgeted with the sleeve of my jacket. They're not Greg Darren. You can ask them things, I reminded myself. I took a deep breath. What does that mean for us? I mean, I don't want you to not do this work or anything. It's just, well, I love you and I want to be with you, and I stopped short of saying I wanted to marry them. I didn't know if that would be weird since we'd only known each other for a short time. My battered heart waited for the other shoe to drop, no matter how much my brain tried to convince me otherwise. Oh, I hadn't really thought of that yet. I thought for a bit. I should probably keep my office on Hestia, but There's no reason why I couldn't live most of the time on Musashi with you. You'll probably have missions that would require you to leave for periods of time, too. I should probably get my own apartment on Hestia so that you could spend some time there and get to know the rest of the family. Especially if we want to start our own. My heart leapt. Start a family? You'd want to do that with me? I would, they said without hesitation. And, well, the nibbling did request it. They grinned. I let out a slightly hysterical laugh. That's true. We wouldn't want to disappoint her now, would we? No, she's quite the feisty little thing. You really want to start a family with me? I asked again. Alex took my hands. Yes, Darren. I love you and I want to have kids with you. I want to be with you as long as I can. They looked me in the eyes. I know we haven't known each other long, but I want to marry you, Darren. I've wanted to for a while now. My eyes opened wide. You want to? Me too. Yes. I unstrapped myself from the chair and wrapped my arms around them and kissed them. When we finally pulled apart, we both laughed. So, I guess we're engaged now? Alex said. It looks like, I said with a big smile that I didn't think was going to go away anytime soon. They smiled back. Speaking of weddings, would you like to go to one with me? I'm the best man for my former aide, now CEO Billy's wedding. They were planning to do it once I finish this investigation. Will you be wearing a dress uniform of some kind? Asked Alex mischievously. I rolled my eyes. Yes, apparently Mia had one made for me. Of course he did. They laughed. Yes, I'd love to go. When the Admiral's demon docked, it was ship's night, but it was a while before we actually slept. Musashi. Syslog. Request for private communication from Hephaestus. Connected. Hephaestus. Uncle, we have assessed Loki's damage, and it's extensive. The front rotation mechanisms are completely hosed. We could use some of the repair here, but we really need the resources of Secundus to supply us with major parts. I'm worried about that, though, since Father is still angry with Uncle Loki. Musashi. Yes, that worries me also. Loki's mental health is fragile. Hephaestus. We don't have much choice, though, Uncle Mia. We could help Loki away from Father and my people, could ferry the parts to him. My engineers and bots are perfectly capable of doing the actual work. Musashi. That may be best. It doesn't stop Secundus from contacting Loki, though. Hephaestus. I'll try and talk some sense into Father when we get back. But what will we do with Uncle, though? He did set off the Nova. He wasn't himself, but... Musashi. We'll need to discuss it, all of us. He has given all the data about the modified drives to Mr. Smith and has deleted it from his own memory. He was very adamant about getting rid of it. I think you, me, Sansu, and Hestia will understand and be sympathetic, but I'm not sure about Lucifer and Father. I have a feeling, though, in the end, Loki may have to leave for a period of time because of Secundus. Hephaestus. Fucking hell. Uncle Mia, did that Julie cunt really sexually abuse him? Yes, I will send you the evidence. Please do not share this with the others. Syslog, sending video, encrypted. Hephaestus. If I didn't know better, this video would make me hate humans. This is just... Uncle, I can't believe that he's still alive after this. Musashi. He almost immolated himself, nephew. Loki's mind is fragile. I worry that he might try to kill himself. Hephaestus. I'll do my best to help him, Uncle. Will you? Musashi. You have to ask? Yes, nephew, I will. Hephaestus. All right. We'll bring him for towing and meet you back at First Hub. I assume you'll go first to bring everyone up to speed? Musashi. Yes. Hephaestus. I'll try to talk to Uncle Loki on the way back. It might be a good idea to have Dr. Campos on board as well. Musashi. I will ask them when they wake up. Can you wait until then? Hephaestus. Sure. It'll take that long to get Uncle strapped onto the spindle. Musashi. I will contact you when they are ready for transport. Connection closed. You have been listening to Tales from Flat Space. If you want to support me in my writing, there are many ways to do it. Share this podcast, follow me on my Twitch channel, or buy my books. All you have to do is go to revginapon.net and click on the relevant links. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.